are approaching planet designation Epsilon 589-2.235, codenamed the Cylon Planet. Our journey has taken us close to the corner of the Eye of Terror. Thanks to the Void Psyker, our gallic fields have remained intact. As we pass through the dark space, long tendrils lick our vessels, but we will not be long before we make contact with the Cylon Planet, the only satellite in this quadrant that has not been affected by the Scourge of Chaos.
Admiral, we are picking up interference.
Report.
Our comms, interference. The Void Psyker is gone to the planet.
Is you in distress?
Admiral, our engines!
We go down.
First, I'm blocked.
Another vessel painted the sky in a hue of purple before plummeting into the black sands, far to the star ascent. Our journey takes us away from those forsaken lands. We have traveled too far now to turn back. Our feet show the contamination of 153,000 days on this barren world. But our destination still lies far beyond the horizon, towards the Moonfall sector. My memory still serves me, even though those around are failing. I can still recount the night that our craft met a similar fate to those we see daily plummet to the Cylon Planet. I can still tell you the tales of misery and agony as the illuminated green hue affected the brains of the Skitari. I can still hear their scream day and night, endlessly ripping at their heads, pulling out their implants, wielding their own weapons against themselves. And when that failed, they opened their heads on the jagged rocks. Check the tomes. I have recorded it all. For every one of our attempts to stop this plague of despair before we finally gave in. Our troops are now mute, their vocal cords strained to breaking point. Now they follow us in a stupor of grief and anguish. They are no more Skitari than a servitor is a man. We call them the Shaitan now, the ghost of the desert, one of the few commodities we can still trade between fallen vessels. Listen well, for our tale is only beginning. Would we be doomed? A lesser race would have lain down and let the sun pick the flesh from their bones. But we are the servants of the Omnissiah. Where others die, we thrive. Across this arid world, we could walk for days without seeing a single blemish on its flat, sandy face. But in the grim sink below the equator, we did find a construct of vital importance. A light that shone through the desert suns and high up into the atmosphere. A source of this green glow. We prized open the doors and descended into the abyss. Within this mausoleum, we discovered a plethora of abandoned technology. Gauss weapons, never seen before by Imperial eyes, whirring devices that pulsed with esoteric energy. As we approached them, a Chartreuse haze intensified. The Shaitan, who was already numb to this torment, were driven to an exquisite agony that ascended them to another level of torture. All who approached the green fog fell to their knees and smashed their heads into oblivion. but one alone stood tall. An elderly shaitan, broken and blinded, he alone walked through the verdigris Elufium. I watched him on my knees, my head in my hands. I was there. Read the tomes. I watched as the smoke ate his skin. I watched as the vapor swirled around his internal organs, turning in his bright red blood green. I watched as he reached out his skeleton hand and stopped the mechanism. I watched the fog dissipate, and with it did his body. We stood, free from the pain that had racked our bodies since we touched this accursed planet. This contraption was the cause of this green hue that blinded the Messiah to our plight. Our vox channel sounded with the cries of other marooned on this world. We stole all the technology we could carry and left the buried vault. Casting my eyes skyward, I could finally see the stars. But this victory was a short-lived one. Across the horizons, 100 more beams of light could still be seen, feeding the green atmosphere. We travel these deserts now, deactivated each emitter we come across. On our journey, we scavenge fallen vessels. Those who have survived the crash have two options: walk with us or stand against us. With each vessel plundered and each mausoleum raided, our technology grows stronger, but connection to the Omnissiah weakens. As we integrate this forbidden technology into our bodies, we also invite the souls of the dead residents. In good faith, I cannot call myself a member of the Adeptus Mechanicus anymore. I have lived hundreds of years as a nomad. I have eaten more from this planet than any other in my life. I have ingested the very nature of the desert. My blood is the sand beneath my feet. My bones are the rocks that have stood for millennia. My mind is slowly being corrupted by this Xenos tech. I am not a follower of the Adeptus Mechanicus. I am a leader of the cult of the Bei'Adhoon.